Okay, we're going to learn how to solve for the letter when the variable is is part of the exponent. So now our variable, right, the letter is going to be as an exponent. So we're going to start pretty simple. I wish 625. I wish I could write this. So 625. I wish I could write this as 5 to the something. And the reason why I said 5 to the something is because I want this base to match. So I tried. Let's see. Can I do 5 to the third? 5 to the third is 125. How about 5 to the fourth? 5 to the fourth. I'm going to use my exponent. 5 to the fourth is 625. So let me rewrite this as 5 to the 1 minus 3n is equal to 5 to the fourth. Again, 5 to the fourth is 625. Now that I have my expressions, right, both sides of the equal sign, I'm using the same base, is 5 to the something. Now that the bases are the same, all I'm going to do is I'm going to let the exponents equal each other. So let me change this to blue. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to solve the equation. 1 minus 3n is equal to 4. The bases are the same. So I'm just going to let the exponents equal each other. 1 minus 3n is equal to 4. I know when I'm solving equations, I usually separate them through the equal sign. I want letters on one side. I already have the n's on the left. So anything that doesn't have a letter, I'm going to move it to the other side. So this positive 1, I'm going to move it to the other side as a minus 1. Remember, I got to switch the sign. So now I have that negative 3n is equal to 3, right? 4 minus 1, that gave me the 3. So I want letters on one side, numbers on the other. Now to get the n by itself, let me divide both sides by the number in front of the n. Now in front of the n, I see a negative 3. So let me divide both sides by a negative 3. So I get n equals 3 divided by negative 3 is equal to negative 1. So n equals negative 1. I'm asking you to solve. Basically, when I say solve, I'm asking what's the value of the letter? What's the value of the variable that will make this statement true? So I'm just expecting negative 1. For my homework, you don't have to type in n equals negative 1. You can just type in negative 1. Let's take a look at number 46. In this one, I already have the bases the same, right? It's 10 to the negative p and 10 to the 3. The bases are the same. So I'm just gonna solve negative p is equal to 3. Once the bases are the same, I'm just gonna let the exponents equal each other. Now the p is not by itself. There's a negative sign in front of it. That's basically a negative 1. Let me divide both sides by negative 1. So I get p equals positive divided by negative is negative. 3 divided by 1 is 3. So p is equal to negative 3. Looking at number 47. The bases are the same. Okay, so that's great. The bases are the same. Now I'm just going to let the exponents equal each other. So I'm going to go 2 minus 2x is equal to 2x. Let the exponents equal each other. All right, I see letters on both sides. There's a negative 2x on the left. There's a positive 2x on the right. I want the letters to be together. So I'm going to move one of them. The negative 2x, I'm going to move it to the other side as a positive 2x. Instead of minus, I'm going plus. Gotta switch the sign. All right, so on the left side, I have a 2 equals 4x, right? Because 2x plus 2x is 4. To get the x by itself, let me divide both sides by the number in front of the x. So in this case, let me divide by 4. So I get that x by itself. Now 2 over 4. 2 over 4. So it's a fraction. Answer your questions as fractions. 2 over 4 is a fraction. It is okay. Sometimes the big number will be on top, so we're going to have an improper fraction. It is fine. Like I said, so if some cases we might see something like 5 over 2, that's fine. It's fine for the big number to be on top. Now, one thing is do simplify your fraction if possible. Here, 2 over 4, if I divide both the 2 and the 4, if I divide both by 2, my fraction simplifies to 1/2. So do simplify your fraction. Now, how am I going to type this 1/2 as on my homework? I'm just going to go 1 backslash 2. If there is a negative sign, now I don't see it here, but if there's a negative sign, it doesn't matter if the negative sign is on the top or the bottom, I will put it at the very front. So if it was a negative 1/2, I'll put the negative sign in front. In this case, I don't. It's a positive 1/2, so it's just 1 over 2. Some of your answers will be fractions, but some of them will also be negative. Make sure you put the negative at the front. It doesn't matter if it comes from the bottom or from the top. Now here, number 48, to begin with, I wish that I could write 125 as 25 to the something, because I want the bases to match. Unfortunately, I cannot. 25 to the 1 is 25, but 25 to the second power, right, 25 squared is 625, which is way over what I want. So in this case, I cannot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch both of my bases. I'm going to write 25 as 5 squared. And I put it inside parentheses for right now. And then I still have outside a negative 2k plus 3. Notice I didn't do anything to the exponent. I just changed the base. 25, I wrote it as 5 to the second. And I know this is going to equal. Now 125, let me write that as 5 to the third. Right, 5 to the third is 125. Put it inside parentheses, and outside of my parentheses, I'm going to put a negative k. I'm using parentheses. I'm changing both of my bases. Now, the nice thing is that my bases are going to be base 5. Now, there's exponents inside the parentheses, and there's exponents outside of the parentheses. My left side, let me get rid of parentheses. I'm going to multiply the 2, the exponent inside. I'm going to multiply to every number all outside of the parentheses. So that's going to give me 5 to the negative 4k plus 6. Notice my 2 inside the parentheses, I multiplied to the negative 2, and I multiplied to the 3. Equals 5 to the negative 3k. Now that I have this, they're both with the same base. I'm just going to let the exponents equal each other and then solve for k. So I have negative 4k plus 6 equals negative 3k. Let me separate them through the equal sign. I want my k's to be together. So my minus 4k, let me move it over as a plus 4k. So it's going to give me 6 equals negative 3 plus 4. Signs are different. So remember, I got to subtract, keep the sign of the large one, 1k. I'm going to choose not to write the 1k, right? It's just the letter k is 1k. So there, k is equal to 6. When I type in my answer, I'll just type in the 6, right? K equals 6. Now let's take a look at number 50 or 49, I mean. I want to write my numbers 216 and 1 over 6. I want my bases to be the same thing. So let me write 216. Let me write that as 6 to the third. 6 to the third, and 3b. Now here, I'm thinking, oh man, how can I write 1 over 6 as 6 to the something? I know 6 to the 1 is equal to 6. As a matter of fact, I even know that 6 to the 1 is 6 over 1, right? Right, 6 is 6 over 1. Now, 1 over 6. Do you guys remembered what happens on the exponents? What is it that flips my fraction? I don't want 6 over 1. I want over 6. Do you guys remember how to flip a fraction? Okay. 1 over 6, let me write that as 6 to the negative 1. Negative exponents basically going to flip my fraction. I know 6 to the 1 is 6 over 1. Right? 6 to the 1 is 6, right? Or 6 over 1. But I want to flip the fraction, so I'm going to use a negative exponent. All right, so 1 over 6, I'm going to write that as 6 to the negative 1. Outside of my parentheses, I still have a negative 2b. Remember, I have to multiply the number inside with the numbers outside. So I'm going to have 6 to the 9b is equal to 6 to the 2b. Now that I have the bases equal the same, I'm going to let the exponents equal each other. So I have 9b is equal to 2b. Okay. Let me separate them to the equal sign. So I want the letters together. So the 2b, let me move it to the left as a minus 2b. I always tend to move the smallest one, so I avoid negatives if possible. So on the left side, I have 7b equals. Now I have nothing on the right side. Nothing in numbers, which usually represented as a 0. I have nothing. Okay, now let me divide both sides by 7 because I want b by itself. 0 divided by 7 is 0. 0 is the number, so that's good. Let's take a look at number 15. Now, I wish to begin with that 27, I could do it as 9 to the something, and I cannot. So my 9 on the left side, let me change that as 3 to the second. And then this is to the negative 2r plus 1. Now 1 over 27. I know 3 to the third is 27, but I want 1 over 27. So I'm going to say this is 3 to the negative third. I'm going to use my fraction. My fraction, I'm going to write it as a negative exponent. And then outside of the parentheses, I still have 3r. Remember, gotta use a distributive. The number inside the parentheses multiplied to the numbers outside of the parentheses. So I have 3 to the negative 4r plus 2 is equal to 3 to the negative 9r. Now that my bases are the same, I'm gonna just let the exponents equal each other. So I have negative 4r plus 2 is equal to negative 9r. Let me separate them through the equal sign. Okay, letters are, I want my letters together. My negative 9r is the smallest. I'm gonna move that one as a plus 9r, trying to avoid negatives if possible. So letters on one side, there's a plus 2 that is not a letter. So I'm gonna move this to this other side as a minus 2. So I have 5r is equal to negative 2. Let me divide both sides by 5. So r, okay, so it's still negative, but there's a negative, so I'm going to bring it to the front. 2 over 5 cannot simplify anymore, so I'm just going to write that as 2 over 5. Remember I said some of your answers will be fractions, or as a matter of fact, negative fractions, which is our case. If you have a negative sign, it doesn't matter if it's on the top or the bottom of the fraction, bring it to the front. Now, 2 negative signs will make a positive. Some cases on your homework, there's a there's a thing that's going to be a question in here. Let's say I have something like 3 to the x is equal to 1. Now, one thing, how in the world am I going to write 1 as 3 to the something? Let me give you guys a clue here. I'm going to rewrite that as 3 to the x equals, now for the 1, I'm going to say 3 to the 0. Remember, anything to the 0 is 1. As long as the anything is not 0. 0 to the 0 is not 1. But so 3 to the 0 is 1. So that's a hint. Anytime you're dealing with a 1, your exponent is 0. Copy the base to the 0. Okay, so today we're doing 45 to 50. There you go. You guys can see them right there.